All right, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, December the 2nd. Christmas is in 25 days, or 23 days. 23 days to Christmas. Welcome to all of our members, and our members now are situated all over the world and throughout the USA and Canada. So we're thrilled to have all of you with us today. As I say each week, our meetings will continue until June the 30th, 2021, same time, same day, same station, Zoom. You have to be a member of Naples MUG to attend our Zoom meetings. Registration started in November 1st. Classes are filling up. So please make sure you register for the classes. And we are looking forward to an outstanding class season this year. The news remains the same. For those of you without a great deal of experience, I would continue to hold off on installing Big Sur, and Jeff and Dennis will keep us in touch and will let us know exactly when that time comes that we should in mass install it. But at this point, we are still recommending for the inexperienced or semi-experienced members not to rush. We have a report today from Bill Nice. Bill is in charge of our nominating committee, works with Scott and Mitch Bryers, and he has a few words to say.
We are going to be having the opportunity to elect these people: Mike Kwasniak, who will be replacing Marilyn, Mary Condon, who will be replacing Conrad, and Ed Evans, who will be replacing John Lane. The three that are leaving have requested to be replaced. And then we will have two members of the board whose terms expire and are willing to serve another term, and that would be Jeff Bower and George Rubin.
Is that it, Bill?
That's it.
All right, another announcement I wanted to make. We have officially signed a contract with a local marketing firm to do our webmaster responsibility. And it's a very lovely person by the name of Caitlin Cassio. And she will be handling many of the things that need to be changed periodically on our website. I always like to make sure I highlight Eckert. If you ever need any information on Zoom, or you're concerned that you have the right information for the Zoom meeting or anything about Zoom, please contact Eckert and he'll make sure you're totally up to date and so forth. The December the 16th meeting, which is 2 weeks from today, will be Bob Kennedy, and he will be talking about holiday photography and photography on the iPhone 12. Did I get that right, Bob?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thanks. On the December 9th meeting, which is next week, Mitch Bryers is back with us again. This will primarily be a question and answer meeting. Mitch will have a few very interesting things to discuss with you, but we encourage you to utilize this meeting to either email the questions prior to the meeting. Therefore, we know we can answer them because Mitch will do some work on making sure he's prepared to answer them. Or if not, we will try to utilize other members of the group. But and we really encourage a lot of feedback from the the troops in these meetings. So if you have any question at all, as far as the iWatch, iPhone, or iPad, this is the time and place to ask them. And no question is stupid. Today's meeting, very exciting. We have Dr. Nice with us, Bill Nice. Bill, how long have you been a member of Naples MUG?
Oh gosh, I would say nearly nearly 20 years.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm nearly 20 years and I think you were
Yeah.
there when I got there. As a matter of fact, it's all Bill's fault that I'm in the situation I'm in today as president. But anyway, that's a long story. But Bill, I welcome you and thanks for doing this meeting. We really appreciate it and we look forward to it and it's all yours.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank George and Sheeta and Eckert for all the work they've done to kind of help me along with this, because this technology is kind of challenging at times. And but they are tremendous help. Uh, Apple has done some great things in the healthcare business. First of all, I want to just send you a Christmas greeting. I think we're getting the best present we've ever gotten as a result of a lot of work in the healthcare industry. And so, Merry Christmas to all of you. We've heard this adage when we were growing up as kids, that an apple a day will help keep the doctor away. And indeed, if we eat an apple and that kind of food, it does go a long way to keeping the doctor away. But now there's a new apple. And if we use this apple, you'll find that you get a lot of benefits to your health, the
Yep.
quality of your life and exercise.
Thank you.
Oh,
All right. Sorry,
okay.
Bill. Go right ahead.
No problem. I'm just sorry you have to look at George instead of me. That's a problem.
All right.
So we're going to use our iPhones and our watches primarily, kind of explore what healthcare can accomplish with these devices. In 2011, Steve Jobs was very ill with his pancreatic cancer. And he, I'm sure, laying in the hospital, being a very compulsive and driven guy and aware of interactions and communications and efficiencies, he was in a bad environment. Because all of us who've been in the hospital realize there's a lot of inefficiency there. So he started the first initiative with the Apple product before his death in that year. And then just last year, Tim Cook said in a speech, Apple's greatest contribution to mankind will be its health products. So it's going to be significant. Apple has established three entities or three sections of the, one is a health kit, which is a hub for health related devices or applications. And it's a storage for all that data. It pulls together blood pressures, fitness tracker results, weight, body fat, calories, whatever you want to set up, it will pull it in and monitor it. It consolidates it from iPhones, from the iWatch, and from third-party apps. The research kit allows medical researchers to develop an app very quickly because the framework is there, and eventually capture meaningful and valuable data through the app developed from this network. And And the amazing thing with this is the number of people that can participate in a research study. And as a result of that, uh, it's much more meaningful data. You've got the quantity of information that affirms what it is. And then the care kit, which is, again, it's a framework that can be put uh, developed either by the provider of healthcare, the doctors, or even the patient. And it's something that will allow patients to be monitored as to whether they're taking their meds appropriately or not. So here's some of the things that our devices can do for us. Recognize a fall and call 911 for us when we cannot. It can provide essential information to first responders when we're unable to give it to them. It encourages our physical exercise and fitness. It can monitor our health so that trending will show when problems are developing. It can be a storage for our medical records, and it can monitor our sleep and record it. Now, this little application is that heart you find on your phone, and it is, when you open it, there are activities, mindfulness, which has to do with well-being mentally, has nutrition information and sleep information. But I think the most significant thing is what we put into this. Now, under the medical ID, I hope you have all this information in your phones. Whatever your current medical conditions are, and unfortunately, I've got too many there, but that's the way life is. But you list those so that when you go to a new doctor, you can immediately pull out and recall everything that's active in your life. And then this medical notes area is an area where you should list your history, that you had an appendectomy in 1954. You got a knee replaced in 63. You had a pulmonary embolus. You know, you list those. And again, when you go to a new doctor, which tends to happen these days, you'll know what your history is. And as well, our medications. You know, if you're taking just a couple of medications, you can probably remember it. But believe me, as we get older, there's more and more medications involved. And if you've got them recorded, every time you go in to see your doctor, they want to review those medications. So you will have that information at hand. And the very bottom of the medical ID, it asks you to put in your emergency contacts. And this is extremely important. My wife and my nurse practitioner daughter, who lives in Tennessee, gets information if there is an emergency. This also will tell the first responders who to contact. If you're not able to tell them, call my wife, but it is then listed and will be available to them. In an emergency, you can access the emergency call by pressing the side button and your volume up button. You just squeeze those together and you will get this page. You can turn your phone off, of course, which is not what we're talking about today, but you can go in and see your medical ID, or you can call 911. And this is what happens when you push this red button. You call the Bloomington, in this case, our localized police. But it doesn't matter where you are, it will call the most appropriate call. At the same time, it will call your contacts, in this case, my spouse and my daughter. If you are found injured, unconscious, unresponsive, the EMS can turn on your phone. They don't know the code. They can't get into it, except they can push this emergency button and up will come another choice, the medical ID, and they will have access to all that information we just talked about. Very, very helpful. I can remember in the emergency department, many, many times we had people come in unconscious, unresponsive, uh, no name even. And so we had no information to start with. So if you've got it in your phone, you'll be a step ahead. Now you can turn on your emergency call, SOS, through your watch as well. This is the watch application on the iPhone. You go into the emergency SOS and you slide this button over to allow the phone to make the call for you. And you slide this on, turn this on to determine if you want fall detection. Now, when you entered your information in the phone and your birth date was so that you were over 55 years of age, this comes on automatically. You can turn it off, but I think you want to leave it on. If you're under 55, you can electively go in here and turn it on. When you fall, and I have to tell you, I'm an expert at this. I have had an injury to my spinal cord and have lost my proprioception, which is responsible for our balance. And it also gives us an awareness of where our limbs are positioned in space and in relation to the rest of the body. As a result of that, I've had several significant falls and have used this system several times. In my experience of 6 significant falls, my Apple Watch has detected them on 4 occasions and began the sequence here we're going to talk about. But I want you to be aware that I've had a friend who simply threw his phone on the bed before heading for the shower, and it began the sequence as well. So I think that's why the 55 years of age is determined. Younger people are more active and therefore are more at risk of triggering this, the accelerometers in the watch to begin this sequence. So when you fall and you trigger this, you have a tapping on your wrist and you have 30 seconds of an alarm that keeps getting louder and louder. And it's amazing really how loud this will become from this little phone. For 30 seconds, if you don't turn this off, it will call 911 with your location after 1 minute. Now, very interestingly, this is from my daughter's phone. I had a hard fall up in Nash County of North Carolina. Got out of the car at a rest stop and went down. So anyway, she got this information. Hard fall SOS, William Nice called emergency service from this approximate location. After Apple Watch detected a hard fall, you're receiving this message because you've been listed as an emergency contact. Now, very interestingly, later she gets this, hard fall, SOS. The approximate location of William Nice has changed. She was in a boat and not using her phone. It was put away, and didn't pay any attention for a couple of hours. My wife was immediately able to turn this off because she was with me and knew what was happening, and she just shut it off. But when my daughter got to her phone and saw this, she had 30 of these messages with different maps as we went up the highway up into New Jersey. So it's quite a system. In addition, on your iPhone, I think I may have mentioned this. Uh, we mentioned you can squeeze this, but you can also call for emergency services by clicking this uh, button, the side button, 5 times. That's if you have selected the choice of this responding to 5 clicks and auto call. So I think you should prepare these things in your phone so they're available to you. Um, just this year, Apple has tried to do what it could do for COVID. It did some things okay and some things not so good. Well, they tried to do contact tracing. And the thought was, if we could get these iPhones within Bluetooth range, we could report on how long they are close to each other. And so they, along with Google and a number of other uh, engineers and companies, have prepared us applications to do this. In fact, if you go online and look for the contact tracing in the Apple Store, you'll see there's maybe 20 of them. Yet it really doesn't work very well because um, they were going to have the state health workers be able to contact somebody with a positive uh, COVID uh, re- report, a positive COVID test, and then they could match up their phone with everybody else's phone to see who was at risk. But as I say, it doesn't work very well. This is another thing in response to COVID. Those of us who are updated on our watches will get a little indication or buzz when we've got our 20 seconds up in hand washing. The phone recognizes activity of washing. And this really does work. I'll be washing my hand and I'll look over and it's 4 seconds to go, or it counts down from 20 seconds. So it tells you when you're done. A nice help for all of us. Our iPhones and watches encourage our physical exercise and therefore our well-being. This is a product that when we first look at it, we think, well, this is great for the jocks like Mitch that are riding their bicycles and wanting to get this done every day. But in fact, we don't have to be jocks to do this. This is kind of amazing that in each of these rings that are closed, this is just simply by standing up when your watch reminds you. It wants you to stand up 12 times in the 16 hours you're awake. Um, I'm sorry, when I move my cursor, it tends to move these slides. At the same time, this is an exercise, the yellow band, and the red is calories consumed, or not consumed, calories burned off in our daily activities. Now you can go into these and you can change them up or down so that we can increase on an everyday basis our activities a little more than they were the previous day. and it monitors it. So we're incentivized to have a record like this, where all these circles are closed every day. But for those of us who are not out riding our bikes, we can go to our phones. There is a number of different choices of workouts, and it can be simple as walking. They even have a wheelchair, and you can create your own activity, whatever it is. And you just start it and stop it, and it will record that activity. And depends on what you're doing, will quantify how much exercise this is. Now, here's what I would encourage you to do. Uh, to set up a walk around the block, whatever that distance, you can set these exercises by time, by distance, or by calories. And you can select them walking around the block this week, once a day. Next week, you set your goal at 2 times around the block and the distance or the time. And you can compete then with your watch, and it's an incentive to see those circles close every day, and you maintain your activity. Or you can compete with your friend. You're sitting in your recliner, kind of feeling lazy, and you see suddenly on your watch that your friend that you're competing with is now ahead of you. He's gotten out and done his exercise, and that's another incentive for you to get going. So you can track and trend this activities over time. And as I mentioned, you can compete with a friend, and it will pair with other exercise applications for more accurate and more complete data. Our devices can monitor our health. And we're going to start with the EKG. But I want to make it clear to you that we are not getting an EKG. Uh, sorry, I've got a phone call coming in from a doctor, and I'm going to cancel it. So here you see on your watch a EKG, what they call an EKG. Here you see another one on your iPhone. Now you think those are normal? We would all feel this is a good normal one, but is this normal, looking like that? I want to just spend a moment to show you the difference between what we are getting on our watch and what an EKG is. An EKG, this represents the feet and the different arms. A EKG monitors the electrical potential of the heart from 12 different positions across our chest and from each of these extremities. And so we get this, what's called a 12 lead EKG. Each one is looking at the heart from a different direction. And you see these patterns are all different. Could I make a definition of could I make a diagnosis of a heart attack with this? No. With just looking at this one? No. But I would need all of this to look and make a diagnosis of a heart attack. So why do we have an EKG on our machine? Well, it's very important that we know and recognize atrial fibrillation, which is an irregularity of the heart. We're clear that this is a good regular heartbeat. Now, does this one at risk? Well, if you look between each of these QRS complexes, they are the same distance apart. So it's a regular rhythm. And that's what we're looking for what the Apple product can provide us. If you look on this EKG, you see these complexes are narrower, wider, wider, narrow, narrow. And indeed, that's what atrial fibrillation is. It's a wide complex, narrow, narrow, and it will show up on your iPhone with an irregular rhythm on November 1st. And it will have to monitor your rhythm for, I forget what the time was, 2 or 3 minutes uh, of irregular rhythm in order for it to be recognized and confirmed in your history. Now, I just want to mention, why is atrial fibrillation a problem? Well, if this pacemaker fails, that is what causes atrial fibrillation. If the pacemaker fails, these muscles in the heart each will go off and fire if they don't get this paced stimulus to fire. So instead of having a very coordinated squeeze of that atrium to empty the blood into the lower chamber, the ventricle, then it just kind of, the blood just kind of pools up here and it wiggles a little bit, but it doesn't really get that push that it needs to go down there. So when blood doesn't move well, what happens? Well, it congeals and you get a thrombus, and it will affix itself in some of these corners of the atrium. We'll get these fragile complexes. And at some point, you're going to break off a piece of this thrombus, and it's going to go out into the aorta and up into the brain, where it will give us a stroke or kill us. It's very important that we know when this happens. You cannot really tell without some kind of monitoring when you have atrial fibrillation. A few people will feel some fluttering in their chest or an irregularity in their chest, but most of us don't have that ability. So it's important with what the watch will provide us. Pulse oximetry. We've all had this done when we go to the doctor. They put this little oximeter on our finger, and it will send an LED red light and an infrared LED light into our tissues. And there's a photo sensor that will sense the color of the blood. So if you have a bright red blood, it is well oxygenated. The hemoglobin molecule will hold 4 oxygen molecules. So when you deplete those molecules, the blood will start turning a more bluish color, and it becomes less oxygenated. Here you see on your pulse oximeter, it shows 95%, which is what it should show. That's a normal pulse oxygen. Now Apple tried to make a pulse oximeter using the iPhone. And this is an application. I have it on my phone, or no, I'm sorry, I don't have it. I guess I just got this from a picture, but I don't know if they're still providing this or not, but do not use it. Do not believe it. Our iPhones only put out white light and not these specialized lights. And so this is highly inaccurate. It is also recommended that these are not used for medical purposes. They are not accurate enough. They can be used to just, you will know what your base uh, pulse ox would be, seeing that it's 95%. And if tomorrow you check it and it's 92%, 88%, well, you would want to have your doctor check out what's going on. You have to hold your arm still for about a minute when you select doing this. And the sensors on the back of your watch are this will then send in these signals and give you the pulse oximetry reading. You have to hold it in that position for 30 seconds, and the watch will time down to that point, and then you'll get your report. The significance of pulse oximetry is if you are exercising, you may want to monitor how well you're keeping your oxygen up in the blood, or if you have something that goes on, like a pulmonary embolus, or if you've got chronic lung disease and you're starting to have trouble with an infection, you can see what trending uh, is is reported on your machine, and you will be needing to check with your doctor and see why. Sleep monitoring. Apple has a application that's in the health package that you can set up when you want to wake up, when you want to go to bed. It will remind you when you want to wind down. And if you have enough battery power, um, you can leave your watch on at night and it will report how long you sleep. It kind of monitors your heart rate, your movement, and determines roughly how much sleep you're getting. Apple bought Beddit, had a sleep tracker, and I think that's what they have then utilized in their program. Sound monitoring. There is an application in your iPhone for your watch, and you go into that and you select uh, monitoring your hearing. Now you can select a on 5 decibel increments, whatever you would like to monitor. But 90 decibels are pretty safe. You can listen to that for 4 or 5 hours without any risk. And so this will alarm you if you select 90 decibels. It will alarm you that you are in an environment above that. And you will then be able to move into an area or protect your hearing so that you will have no loss. Here's an example of 100 decibel hearing and the warning that says repeated exposure to this can do damage to your hearing. Your iPhone can retain your medical records. And in this day when we are moving from up north to down south, back and forth, seeing different doctors, different systems, you can pull these into your health, into your iPhone, iPad, and maintain these records yourself. So you go into the health app and follow the directions. This is an example of myself using Quest diagnostics. I use them to do my blood work. And I go into Quest and I enter their system for the patient, and then I can download this. Once I've established that, it should download automatically any further visits. I also had um, Physicians Regional Hospital information in there, but it disappeared, and I'm not sure why I lost it. I tried to go into Naples Community Hospital, and they don't have a portal that has been agreed upon, apparently, with Apple yet, because I could not find them in there. Made a phone call to them, but I didn't get an answer back. So we talked about the health kit. Now I'd like to talk just a little bit about the research kit. They are doing lots of studies now, but here's an example of 3 of them. There's a women's health study, which is done in conjunction with Harvard University. And they're going in and they're tracking menstrual cycles. So if you ladies would choose to participate, you can go in here and choose the dates, the months, and how frequent, how heavy they are. And then there's some questions that you answer periodically regarding other issues of women's health. So they're trying to determine if there's any predictions that can be taken from this history of your menstrual periods to see if it has a significance on future health problems. They've got one with the American Heart Association and Brigham and Women's Hospital, where the Apple Heart and Movement Study, where they're trying to determine if a monitoring heart and movement activity and what the future is for heart problems. There's a study with the University of Michigan and World Health for hearing. So you can go into these studies and choose one if you wish and participate in these. These are some of the partners that Apple has gone with to introduce some different kind of studies. I think this is really a exciting thing. There, in addition, is a care kit. This is an open framework product that allows people to develop an application to help manage and understand their health a little better by tracking things and connecting to care teams. For example, if George is now old man and senile and cannot quite remember his medications, a program can be developed where he can record on his phone taking his medicines, or what his daily blood pressure was, or what his blood sugar was. And this can be designed so his doctor gets this information as well on a daily basis and trending. And there's lots of different ways this can be used to quality care, make quality care when patients are out of sight, and monitor and make their things are going well. Here's an example of what I'm talking about.
ResearchKit was created with the goal of improving medical research. A year later, we're seeing app developers, doctors, and even patients take these ideas and make them more powerful than we could have ever dreamed.
We can detect autism as early as 18 months old, but the median age that a child in the US is diagnosed with autism is 5 years old. So we need a radical new solution.
If autism is diagnosed early, it can have significant benefits for the child. The point of Autism and Beyond is to help engage parents in a research kit study, but more importantly, is to eventually develop a tool that they can use at home with their child to screen for autism.
We show the child videos, and we use the front-facing camera to record the child's reaction to these videos. And then we have algorithms that then can tell us about the child's emotions and other behaviors. So we have a chance to understand child development in a completely new way.
When you have large numbers of people participating in research, your insights into the condition increase exponentially. With Research Kit, we're getting day-by-day assessments on how people are doing.
Parkinson's, it's a disease that slows you down. And exercise will make you feel better, is what I've come to learn. What I'm trying to do lately is use the app before I exercise and then afterward to see how exercise might forestall the progression of it, because it's not curable at the moment.
Now with Empower app, we're getting information that can be used to personalize the care that patients receive.
If we could bring research and care together and really bridge that gap, we could help people live healthier and happier lives.
I had my first epileptic seizure when I was 3.5. I always have that fear first of all in the back of my mind. Am I gonna have a seizure while I'm driving? What if I'm at work or I'm by myself? How am I gonna handle that situation?
The EpiWatch app is the first research app to use the Apple Watch. So those sensors can be used to collect physiologic data during seizures. And we're using that data to try to develop a seizure detector.
The research that they're doing is exciting because they're trying to find a predictor. Having that would be amazing because I would know, hey, this is gonna happen. You have plenty of time to get to safety. It's like, okay, I got this.
This is no longer just about research. People are using apps to learn about themselves in a way that they couldn't before, to create a better life for themselves in terms of their own health.
Research Kit has clearly transformed research. More importantly, it's laid the foundation to transform care.
What's really amazing about an iPhone is you have it in your pocket. You don't need any special equipment. Here's the phone. We can do this science, we can do this medicine with a phone.
I want to encourage you to stay well. You see this every day, probably 3 or 4 times a day. But if we can just hang in there for another 3 months, we'll have this thing taken care of. So stay with it. Eat well, eat your veggies, guys, and eat in moderation. Exercise 4 to 5 times a week. Monitor it on your iPhone and trend it, see how you're doing. See your doctor regularly. I have a couple friends who brag to me that they haven't seen their doctor for 10 years. They don't need to, they feel good. They don't want to get mixed up with the doctor and he'll send them down a path they don't want to go. Well, I wonder what their blood pressures are. I wonder what their blood sugars are. I wonder if that prostate is getting too big. You know, there are lots of issues that they're not following up on. So see your doctor regularly. Use your Apple phone and your watch to challenge you to a healthier and more physical life. And always, always be your own advocate. I think when you go into the healthcare system, you make sure that there's clarity in what you are being told and that you are happy with it. We physicians will always try and do our very best to solve your problems and make you a healthier person. But sometimes we don't pick up on something. And so we want you to be an advocate for yourself and make sure everything is clear. So that concludes what I would like to say. If there are questions out there, we'd be happy to take them.
All right, while we're waiting for the hands to come up, Michael's,
Outstanding. Okay.
yes, very, very much so. Michael Sales, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you very much. So Bill, thanks for his excellent presentation. I do have a couple of questions. Let's see. When I look at the research kit, I'm on my phone. Where is it? Oh, darn. So, I'm in health, and I go to the profile. I do research studies. Says as research studies request permission to read your data, they will be added to the list. Well, at the moment, I have it says I'm not enrolled in any research studies. How do I go about finding research studies that I would like to participate in?
Well, I think I would go online and look up Apple research options or Apple research activities, and they, I would think you would find them there. On our phones, I really haven't pursued that, so I don't have a better answer for you.
Okay, Michael, does that answer your question?
Well, it's a response. Yeah, I
Okay.
appreciate that. May I ask one more question?
Sure.
Sure.
It says that my phone is not connected to my watch, but that doesn't make sense because my phone is connected to my watch in my health data. So I don't know why what am I doing wrong there? I'm missing something. How do I make sure that my phone is connected to my watch around health data?
Do you have, when you go into your Apple Watch app, do you see that your phone and your Apple Watch are connected?
My Apple Watch app. I'm on my Apple Watch. Should I look in settings, or I'm sorry to be asking. I know George said there are no stupid questions, but I'm taxing myself.
No, please ask stupid questions.
Okay, well, I think I'm asking one. So I'm looking at my watch right now.
And you should look at your phone and look at the Apple Watch app on your phone.
Okay, sorry about that. Thanks, Eckhart.
Okay, Mitch, why don't you unmute yourself and chime in?
Yeah, that's right. You need to look at your phone and go to the Apple Watch app and see what that's saying. I did have this problem, and it had to do with setting up a new phone where I looked at my watch, it was running, but it was not connected right to my phone. And so what I had to do after I consulted Apple was to do a factory reset on my Apple Watch.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Down at the bottom, which on the Apple Watch, you go to settings, and at the bottom, you go to.
If you'll see here, can you hear me?
I can if you're speaking to Michael.
If you'll see, and I'm not quite sure how I got here, but all watches, you can add a watch. And
right. Yeah, your screen is really, really blurred right now, Bill. We can't really see anything. Sorry.
With reflector? Oh.
I think that's bandwidth. It's not reflector, it's your bandwidth.
I've got something that says discover. I'll probably take enough time. Let me move on to somebody else. Let me see if I can figure it out from here.
Okay, Mitch, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. First of all, Bill, this is probably the best overall health presentation I've ever seen on Apple devices. It was just outstanding. My question is on the SOS, when you turn on the hitting 5 times on the button on your watch, does it immediately call or does it give you a hey, we're going to call if you don't stop this in 5 seconds.
That's exactly what it does. It gives you a countdown of 5 seconds. And you can try this on your watch, but you've got to be prepared to hit the face of the watch. I was able to, as you can see there, take a screenshot and get the watch turned off by selecting no help, cancel the call. So it takes about 5 seconds.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, Marilyn, could you unmute yourself and comment on your response in the chat?
Yes, I just looked in the App Store and there is an Apple Research app. And it looks like it's free, at least it says get on there. So that might be the doorway to get into the research program.
Thank you very much. Jim Corsica, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Bill, I too thought this was outstanding. And with respect to the false falling, I once got a warning from vigorous applause. I was at a play and I was applauding very hard, and I got the SOS thing come up on my watch. And I just wish there was a way around that. Is there a way of altering the sensitivity in any way?
Not for us, but it is a risk. I know, somebody can just bump your arm hard and the accelerometer would think you have had a fall. So it's probably worth your setting up that alarm system, such as we talked about, in order so you recognize how to shut that thing off.
Uh-huh.
When you're prepared to do it, how we can cancel a phone call by just covering our watch.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that would do it, but that would be something you or all of us could kind of try and see if that would cancel it out. But if you're the auditorium and you're suddenly struck with this, I can see it's hard to figure out how to get this shut off.
Yeah.
Well, when this pops up, you should be given a message, and you have to select stop or cancel. Otherwise, It will not automatically shut off by itself. And it actually goes through calculations. It goes through the force of gravity, and there are other calculations that the accelerometer uses in order to detect whether or not it believes you've had a hard fall. So whether or not you've had a hard fall, it could depend, like Jim, with your clapping, how strong you're clapping.
Uh-huh.
So that's not a sensitivity that you can set. It is a known calculation that it does.
Right.
Don't clap so loud, Jim.
Or turn the watch off, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Mitch, you had something else to add?
Yes. First of all, I have had mine go off when it dropped. It was actually on my charger, and it dropped behind the chest of drawers. And fortunately, I was able to get my hand behind there before it had the emergency squad on the way. I've had it go off when I fell. I fell actually in my garage when I was working on my bike, and I was clipped in, and I was trying to adjust something, and I leaned the wrong way and couldn't get out of the clip in time, and so I went down. Didn't hurt myself, but it went off right away, which was good. I've got a neighbor who's about 85. He's fallen several times, and most of the time it catches him. And that's why he got the watch. And that's quite honestly why a lot of older people get the watches, for that fall feature. And one other comment, I have had people where the fall detection will go off when they're out golfing and they're swinging their club. And one more thing I've learned from your presentation today, not to throw my phone on the bed, which I usually do every night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
I believe that Conrad had an experience where the squad actually came to his house, and that's how he knew it went off.
Okay.
But,
Yes.
Conrad, am I correct?
Yes, but that was through a third party, a Bay alarm system, and it had nothing to do with Apple.
Oh, okay.
Maureen, can you please unmute yourself and comment on what you just put in the chat?
Yes, I have found that my SOS was going off constantly while I was playing tennis. It was a real inconvenience, but I'm so competitive. I wanted the steps and the points for my exercise so I wouldn't shut the watch off or take it off. I found if I tell the watch in advance that I'm playing tennis, it adjusts itself and I get fewer SOS notices.
That's really interesting, because I play tennis, I play hard as well, and I have never had that happen. But that's good to know.
It's only with my backhand when I hit it really hard. So it's a
Okay.
consistent movement that activates it.
There you go. That's probably why. Okay. Michael.
Sheeta,
Yes.
how do you tell the watch that you're playing tennis?
There's a tennis activity, I believe, Maureen, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is correct.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of different activities. Michael Slider, do you have a comment that you'd like to make?
Yeah, just a question for review. I heard the explanation about using the oximeter on the Apple Watch, but it went by too fast and I kind of missed exactly what the oximeter is not doing versus a finger test.
Oh, the pulse oximeter?
Yes.
Okay, well, the pulse oximeter that Apple provides does not have the same lighting source that the pulse oximeter on your finger has, and is not as accurate. It's pretty good, but it's not medically accurate. You can use it for your own information to monitor and kind of see where you are normally and to recognize if there's a trend downward, but don't depend on it to be a medical response.
Okay, do you have any idea how it's actually reading the oxygen in the blood?
Oh, yes, it does have sensors. You know, if you take off your watch at times, you can see these green lights on the back of the watch. And I've just taken mine off, but I don't see it now. I had it going earlier today, and these green lights will try and ascertain this from the skin in the back, from the tissues in the back of your wrist, but it's not as accurate as what the real pulse oximeters do. And these pulse oximeters, if it's something you really would like to trend, I would pick one up. They're only $20, $30 to get one.
Okay, Mitch, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add to this discussion. I have one of the finger devices, and I've checked it numerous times, and it seems like 60% of the time my Apple Watch will show the exact same results as the finger device. The other 40% of the time, it will be 1 or 2% higher or lower. And interestingly enough, I don't have any serious pulmonary problems, but I go to a pulmonary guy once a year, and they we're doing this in the office, and they had me doing a 6-minute walk and everything with checking my pulse ox with their finger thing. And when I got done, theirs after a 6-minute walk showed, I think 94. It was down a little bit because I've been exercising. And I immediately did my watch and it showed the exact same result. So it's not exact, but it's a pretty good indication, as you indicated, Bill. And I wanted to add that I just read articles this week that Apple has filed some patents on doing blood pressures with the watch. I don't think they've perfected that yet, but this thing is going to get more and more valuable to us in terms of a health tool. And I think the holy grail is going to be if they ever crack the case on being able to get blood sugars with the watch, which they've talked about. And I know that they're working hard to do, but that's probably 3 to 5 years off. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Alan, could you unmute yourself? Alan DC, could you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi, I take my, by the way, also, I really enjoyed that, appreciated that, that excellent review of the health things. That was really great. So I just want to add my, my praise to it. I take my blood pressure almost daily, and I enter the numbers in a numbers spreadsheet. Is there any way that I can link that numbers spreadsheet to my health record, or do I have to do that entry through whatever the procedure is for the for recording the blood pressure on health record app?
There is a blood pressure device, a cuff, that will automatically connect with the healthcare app. And I don't know what the cost of it is, but I did see there are several devices that temperature and other things such as that will import data directly into your healthcare. So you might look at that. I don't think that the spreadsheets would could be imported, at least not in my knowledge base. Maybe you computer whizzes could answer that.
Okay, so short of having the spreadsheet automatically imported, if I go to the app, there is a way to navigate around, I guess, to insert my blood pressure every day into that app, just like I do into my spreadsheet. There is somehow or other way to navigate through that app and insert the blood pressure reading every time?
I think there is, but I cannot lead you to it.
Okay, so how do you record your blood pressure in your health app?
I don't.
Oh,
I
does
should,
anybody
but
does anybody on this phone this session routinely put their blood pressure into the app?
I do, and this is Jim Korska. I just bought a blood pressure machine within the past 6 months, and it's an Omron, and it has Bluetooth capability, and you get an app from the App Store that links to the machine, and it can send your blood pressure numbers to this app. You can also get pretty sophisticated reports of your blood pressure, graphs and such, but you have to pay a couple of bucks a month for that service. The basic one keeps track of your blood pressure, and you can send a sort of a spreadsheet to your doctor. You can text a spreadsheet or email a spreadsheet to your doctor that shows the most recent 10, 15 blood pressures.
Okay, but again, I don't want to dominate this thing, but I just want to clear this up. Short of buying a new Omron thing with the smart, basically a smart Omron, short of doing that, there is no way to somehow or other connect the blood pressure to the heart app, I guess, without buying one of these more sophisticated blood pressure machines. Is that right?
We do not know that for a fact. That's basically what I think Bill insinuated. I think maybe you want to further YouTube or Google that question. I would think that there possibly could be a way to link some kind of a spreadsheet into your. And as a matter of fact, I keep all those spreadsheets myself, blood pressure and weights and all this other stuff. But I've always kept it separately, and I really should look at myself also, bringing all that information into one place. So I think any of us who research that out, if you find any kind of an answer, let us know through the discussion group.
I have an answer for that. The same, it's Mike Schleider. This, if you want, a lot of people will also want to record their temperature and also blood pressure, and you have to have a Bluetooth connected app through a device. You can't do it any other way. The blood pressure app, by the way, Costco has one on sale right now, which is a pretty good one for about $33 if you want to get it. It's a pretty good price, and it's pretty complete with the digital interface.
And you can hook it right into your phone through an app. Okay.
It comes with the Bluetooth app, and you put it on your phone, and your phone will connect directly to your app, to your heart app.
Do you happen to know who makes that? Is it Omron or is it a third party?
No, it's a third party.
Thank you. Thomas Hopkins, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I've had extensive experience with my Cordio, which does make a scale and make a blood pressure cuff. And when you load the app, it asks you if you want to connect to Apple Health. And then when you go into your Apple Health, you can scroll down and allow which apps will connect to it. Now, Black Friday sales, I think, are still on. I've been getting ads for Cordio. QARDIO is the name of the company. But if you happen to be actually a heart patient that you need more serious monitoring, it's fairly expensive, but Cordio does make an ECG strap that will do multiple leads, and it can be arranged for that ECG to be proper ECG, not just a rhythm strip. And the ECG can be sent to your doctor. And Cordio has done extensive research in connecting to medical offices.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. I would like to advise that everyone take a look in the chat. There's some really interesting information there. If you would like to put any information in the chat, please do so. George will send that out to you. Are there any last questions? One last question before we go?
Can I speak, Sheeta?
Please, go ahead.
I think I have an answer to the question for Alan. If you go into the heart app, the health app, and you go to browse, and then you go to blood pressure, and then you go to add data, it gives you the opportunity to put your blood pressure in. So you can enter it manually, and the date and the time is already in there. So if he's entering it in his spreadsheet, he might be able to enter it daily right into the health app.
Okay, good. I'm going to try that. I guess it has places for 3 numbers: the high blood pressure number, the low blood pressure number, and the pulse. Those are the 3 components that you get from the pressure meter. But
I think the pulse you would have to enter separately, but the 2, the systolic and the diastolic, are there. Let me see. I don't see the pulse.
Okay, well, good. I'm going to, when we hang up from here, I'm going to search around that app and see if I can find it. Okay, thank you. That was very helpful.
Go into browse and then go into vitals, and from there on follow.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
Conrad, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, my experience with Omron has not been good. For 6 months to a year, I've been getting readings that were 20 to 30 millimeters low from the actual value. and this caused some serious problems. And I would say that blood pressure really is the silent killer. And nothing beats getting a good, reliable manual air bladder blood pressure check. I can't say anything good about Omron.
Well, I also have had Omron, and I have an opposite experience. Mine always worries me that's reading too high. So I take it periodically whenever I go to my doctor or even to my local CVS and have them calibrated against theirs. And it turns out the Omron that I have anyway turns out to be pretty accurate. When it's high, my blood pressure really is high. So, but anyway, my advice is to take it with you every time you go to your doctor and let him and calibrate it against a professional blood pressure reading.
All right, thank you, Alan. All right, we are over, but this has been an amazing presentation, and I thank you all for your questions. George, would you like to jump in?
Yes. Bill, this was just a really outstanding meeting. Thank you very much. Also, we have a survey that'll be with you in probably a couple hours. If you could just take a couple seconds or a couple of minutes and fill it out, we'd appreciate it. And thank you very much for attending this meeting. And Bill, it was really great.
And please unmute yourself and thank Bill.
Nice job, Bill.
Thank you,
Nice
Bill.
job, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Great job.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
Great. Thanks, Bill.